welcome back to watching Business Morning right here on Channels Television. Have joining us virtually now from Nnewi, Anambra State, the Managing Consultant and Chief Executive Officer of Flame Academy and Consulting Limited. He's also a chartered banker and a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, Mr. Oji Udemezue. Mr. Udemezue, Happy New Year, and we look forward to a better 2026 than 2025.
Happy New Year, and thanks so much for having me in this program. It's a great year. We're looking forward to both at micro and macro level.
Sure.
God helping us.
Exactly. But you know, and I'm happy that you said that, because we had a lot of wins following data and even people's perspective in 2025, but they were at the macro level. I think the one that was really big was towards the end of the year. We saw the FDI for 2025 was up about 700% compared to the quarter before that. So a big one to celebrate. But of course, when we look closer, we also see that our multidimensional poverty index increased, even in the same year. So I hope, or we're looking forward to that, 2026 will be focused on moving those macro benefits and gains to the micro. But I wonder how we can do that fast, because this is a pre-election year, another distraction.
All right, so that's a very important point you've brought up here. When an economy seems to be doing well in numbers, looking at the data, GDP is edging up, inflation is coming down, and there appears to be a better management of our currency, and all of those parameters, even the trade position is going more towards surplus than deficit, and all the numbers look good. Even revenue is ramping up compared to the past, and all of that. The budget is getting bigger, but at the end of the day, the life of the individual Nigerian is getting worse and worse, less progressive and less enjoyable. So you find that, I mean, in economics, you say that the growth you are seeing in the economy is not inclusive, and growth here is not being transformed into development, because in economic theory, economic growth has now been separated from economic development. You can see an economy growing in numbers. The real GDP per capita might be getting bigger. In a way, you could say that the average citizen is earning bigger than previously, but that's just numbers. Looking at inequity, the inequitability of the economic system, you find that while those numbers are growing, many individuals are still moving into poverty because the growth is not being managed to include everybody and to translate into better education, better quality of life, freedom of speech, better security of life and property, and other things that can say that we are living a better life expectancy, and other human development indices. So Nigeria has a lot of work to do there. And what is the fundamental issue here? The way the economy is managed. When you have a very efficient, selfless, and proper management of an economy, you will see the economic data and growth being well transformed into development. That's the major challenge we have in Nigeria, and as time goes on, I can throw more light on this.
Please do throw more light, Mr. Udemezue, because we're looking for a fast-track way of getting these benefits to the people, to the welfare of the people. I mean, that seems to be what remains, and sustaining the trajectory that we started in 2025.
All right, okay, so without mincing words here, and with little concern about whose horse is God or whose shoes I step on, Nigerian political system needs to do a lot better to see how we can transform our economic numbers to a better welfare, a better standard of living for the basic Nigerian. If you see an economy where the wealth of the nation, the bulk of it, is being spent by the bourgeois, those who have been lucky to find themselves in the political corridor, where billions of money is being spent to maintain assets held by the National Assembly, the executive arm of government and so on. So much money is being spent in allowances and salaries of few individuals. Some analysis was saying that the amount of money we spend on legislators, as few as they are, can cover the whole salary of even the professors who should be among the most productive agents of this economy. That disparity is so much. You find an economy where every day you hear billions and billions of dollars and naira in stolen funds. All kinds of, I don't want to call names here, but every other day, both at the commissioner level, at the state government, at the governorship level, EFCC cases up and down, money sounding in billions being wasted at every level of government, local government, state government, appointment level, commissioners, ministers, aides to ministers, and so on. These billions, when you aggregate them, the amount of funds that would have gone into the welfare of the people, funds that would have been used to build standard educational systems, standard health facilities, standard infrastructure, roads, railways, even power, for example. Imagine Nigeria, the giant of Africa, still struggling with 4,000 megawatts of electricity for several decades. And I thought that a major reform in a country like Nigeria at this point will not be worried about electricity anymore. But here we are. We're talking about reform. Tell me any infrastructure that has been built in this country in the past few years and completed. And yet we take on much bigger ones that require trillions of naira. We take them on while the low-hanging fruit have not been captured. How can Nigeria in the 21st century, 2026, be saying that we cannot give an average Nigerian, adequate supply of power to run their lives and economy? So the reforms are not well directed. The reforms are not happening where they're meant to happen. We are driving revenue so much energy, and then little or no energy in driving accountability in the revenue usage.
So
the government of Nigeria, I'm not just accusing this government, the previous government have shut their ears to the need to review how our government is run and how to ensure proper governance and accountability, a major issue. Until you get this right, the more revenue you make, the more hemorrhage, the more bleeding you have, and we can't achieve any success. That is the ugly truth, and I'm sorry to go that way.
All right, Mr. Demeso, thank you for going that way. I mean, it's your opinion, and thank you for sharing it. But please, just briefly now, being a pre-election year, how much disruption should Nigerians expect, in the attention that will be given to the economy? Because, I mean, you talked a lot about politicians. We know that with elections come money spending, come campaigns, traveling, strategizing. How much disruption do you expect, in this year?
Typically in Nigeria, by this time already, even from last year, so much energy and attention is usually placed on the next election. In fact, even as people are being sworn in their first tenure, the next game is second tenure. It is that bad. The only reason, I will tell you my own view, why Nigeria appears to have slowed down a bit to look inwards on how to improve security in the parts of this country, to even look at economic issues of how do we put the right people at the right places, how do we make the life of Nigerians better, is because we now have some external pressure coming basically from the United States of America, asking questions, why are people being killed so badly in our country? Whether they are Christians, or they are Muslims, or they are atheists, or whoever, but why are the killings going on? And that question has a bit tapered the tempo of politics in the country. Ordinarily, by now, 2 years away from election, Nigerian government system has shut down governance and focusing on how to win the next cycle of election, which is a very big pity for national. So why are we asking the question, why is the economic growth not giving rise to better lives in Nigeria? We know the answers. People are too concerned, too selfish about getting power that they forget the essence of that power. The whole idea of the electoral process is to carefully, and inclusively and transparently select or elect, appoint people who will lead our economy. And I always say, from my own understanding, that when you have a bad political system, you can't have a good economy. So we should stop deceiving ourselves. As long as people are too deep into power play, by all means, by whatever means to grab the power, it doesn't matter. Even when you are killing people, for whom you are, going to govern, at the end of the day, you can have a better economy. So in Nigeria this year, we're going to have, despite the fact that we have external pressure to look inward and make our country livable and habitable, you will still see a lot of wrangling, political wranglings up and about. It's already happening. It's only veiled by the point I mentioned earlier, the security hot point that we're trying to deal with. But this year we will see a major shift away from economic governance, to political dominance. Parties trying to gain power or influence over the other, some trying to destroy other parties so they come out alone. That's what people are busy doing right now.
All right, Mr. Demese.
That's Africa's major base of development.
All right, Mr. Demese, thank you so much for sharing that with us this morning. Managing Consultant and Chief Executive Officer of Flame Academy and Consulting Limited. Also, he's a chartered banker and fellow of Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. Mr. Oji Demese, thank you so much for that. All right,
thanks for having me. Have a great year ahead.
Wish you the same, Mr. Demese. Yeah, well, it's time to go, but we have to tell you some of those expectations for this week. And we're expecting from the United States, U.S. factory orders will be out this week. The Institute of Supply Management will be sharing also the manufacturing index for December is expected to be at 48.3%. South Africa mining production update will also be shared. That's on Monday. On Wednesday, job openings for November is expected, as obviously from the United States, and then the U.S. preliminary consumer sentiment would also be out this week. Those are some of the expectations for the week. All right, so that's it on the program. I'll see you at 1:30. Nigeria's equity market is starting strong. We hope to stay strong. I'll give you the update during Business Incorporated. I'm John McCall. I'll talk to you later.